1958, a typewriter wrote the final version without making a sound. Archive file. Carbon 58/A, compiled from materials recovered at the Central Press Bureau, Moscow, dated 9th October, 1958. The incident concerns a standard mechanical typewriter assigned to senior correspondent Alexei Morozov, Desk 4. B maintenance logs confirm the device was fully functional yet unused during the night of 7th October. Carbon paper remained properly aligned, ribbon intact, keys clean. At 6:12 the following morning, Morozov arrived to find a completed report already rolled into the platen. The machine was cold to the touch. No keystroke impressions registered on the type bars, and acoustic monitors installed for night security recorded no mechanical activity. The report detailed a chemical plant explosion in Sverdlovsk, listing casualty figures, response times, and an official statement attributed to a ministry spokesperson. At the time of discovery, no such incident had been reported. Editors assumed fabrication until wire services began confirming elements of the article over the next 48 hours, matching the text exactly, including a later correction removing the name of an engineer who died during rescue operations. Carbon copies beneath the original page showed identical text, but with additional marginal annotations not present on the top sheet, including redactions and revised casualty counts. Forensic analysis determined the carbon layer had been impressed gradually, line by line, without impact force consistent with typing. Paper fibers exhibited compression patterns as if pressed by uniform weight rather than discrete strikes. Morozov denied authorship and produced drafts proving he had not written on the topic. When questioned, he reported recurring headaches and the sensation of already having filed the story. Subsequent inspection of the typewriter revealed the margin stop shifted by 2 millimeters overnight, aligning perfectly with the formatting standards of the Press Bureau's final copy desk rather than Morozov's habitual layout. Investigators noted the absence of sound as the defining anomaly. Not a single keystroke, carriage return, or bell strike recorded. The file concludes with an initial assessment. Device appears to document outcomes post-decision. Silence may be functional, not incidental. The typewriter was removed from service and transferred to secured storage pending further review. Supplemental Archive Note. Carbon 58/B records the examination of secondary impressions produced beneath the original report discovered on the 7th of October, 1958. Investigators focused on the carbon paper stack, which revealed a paradoxical hierarchy of information. The lowest copy contained the most complete and temporally accurate data, while the upper sheet showed minor omissions later corrected by wire confirmations. Microscopic analysis of the carbon layer indicated progressive transfer without discrete impact points. Compression appeared uniform across each line, suggesting sustained pressure applied gradually rather than keystroke strikes. Ink ribbon tests confirmed no contact with type bars during the relevant period. Acoustic logs from the newsroom's night monitors registered continuous ambient silence, interrupted only by HVAC cycling. No carriage return bell, platen rotation, or key chatter was detected. Notably, the carbon sheets exhibited marginal annotations, numerical corrections, name removals, and redaction marks, executed in alignment with editorial standards issued hours after the report's discovery. When compared to official bulletins released 2 days later, the carbon annotations matched final language exactly, including a corrected casualty total and the removal of a responder's name following a posthumous classification change. Paper fiber aging tests suggested the carbon impressions formed incrementally over several hours, not in a single event, implying a silent, extended process. Investigators attempted replication by stacking fresh carbon beneath blank sheets and isolating the typewriter overnight. No impressions formed until a separate editorial decision was made elsewhere in the bureau the following morning, at which point a faint, partial imprint appeared on the lowest sheet only. Environmental telemetry recorded a recurring 13.1 second oscillation during this interval, localized to desk 4. B. Editors reported a subjective sense of completion upon handling the carbon copies, as if the article had already passed final review. A margin note added to the file reads, "Carbon reflects finalized outcome before authorship." The assessment concludes that the carbon layer functions as a receptive surface for institutional decisions, capturing resolved states without mechanical mediation. The typewriter remained silent throughout, reinforcing the hypothesis that soundless inscription is a feature of the process rather than an anomaly. Archive continuation. Carbon 58/C documents the first instance in which the silent typewriter's output altered an identified individual prior to official record revision. On the 11th of October 1958, editors reviewing the original carbon stack observed a discrepancy between copies. The top sheet listed an engineer, Victor S. Lebedev, among the injured survivors, while the lowest carbon copy omitted his name entirely, leaving a clean typographic gap consistent with deliberate redaction. At the time, Lebedev was alive and hospitalized. Bureau editors marked the omission as error and prepared a correction draft. Before the correction could be issued, the carbon copy beneath updated itself, compressing surrounding text to remove the empty space without any mechanical input. That same evening, Lebedev was reported deceased following complications during recovery. Official bulletins released the next morning mirrored the revised carbon text exactly, including phrasing that removed all reference to his involvement. Forensic review found no erasure marks, abrasions, or retyping indicators on the carbon sheet. Instead, fiber compression suggested a redistribution of pressure across the page, as if the document had been reset to a finalized state. Handwriting analysts noted the spacing adjustment matched the Press Bureau's end-of-cycle formatting rules, typically applied only after confirmation of fatalities. When Morozov handled the corrected page, biometric monitors recorded a brief drop in skin temperature and pulse irregularity, accompanied by his statement that the name felt wrong when he first read it. Investigators conducted a controlled test by inserting a false name into a draft placed beneath fresh carbon overnight. By morning, the inserted name was absent from the lowest sheet only, while remaining on the top page. No newsroom activity occurred during the interval. Environmental sensors again detected the 13.1 second oscillation localized to the desk. The report concludes that the typewriter system does not predict outcomes but enforces narrative consistency after decisions solidify, removing elements that no longer belong to the final version. A red-stamped annotation summarizes the finding. Names are provisional until silence confirms them. The machine remained inactive, producing no sound, while its documents continued to self-correct. Archive entry Carbon 58/D records the expansion of the anomaly from individual documents to the broader editorial workflow between 12 and 15 October 1958. Following the corrected name incident, editors noted a pattern. Drafts placed near Desk 4B reached final formatting without undergoing the customary audible stages of composition. Proof sheets left overnight emerged with standardized margins, corrected punctuation, and headline kerning aligned to bureau-style guides issued later the same day. No typewriter noise was captured by the newsroom's acoustic monitors, which continued to log uninterrupted silence across all night cycles. Carbon stacks beneath these drafts displayed deeper, cleaner impressions than the top sheets, implying a priority of inscription that favored copies over originals. When editors attempted to intervene, introducing handwritten edits, crossing out lines, or inserting addenda, the lowest carbon copy resisted change, redistributing pressure so that alterations faded into alignment by morning. Paper analysis showed uniform compression across entire paragraphs, consistent with prolonged, even force rather than point impacts. A controlled test placed blank sheets and carbon under the silent typewriter, with the ribbon removed and keys locked. Nonetheless, by dawn, the lowest sheet bore a fully formatted headline matching a decision announced at the Bureau's morning meeting. Environmental telemetry again registered a localized oscillation at 13.1 seconds, now extending to adjacent desks during peak editorial activity. Staff reported a collective sensation of quiet certainty while working near Desk 4B, describing reduced debate and faster approvals without discussion. Notably, disputes resolved themselves on paper. Competing versions of leads placed side by side resulted in only one surviving on the carbon layer, the other fading to partial impressions. The surviving version always matched the language later released by state channels. Investigators concluded that silence functioned as a gatekeeping condition. Only content aligned with finalized institutional outcomes persisted. A margin note in blue pencil reads, "Sound indicates deliberation. Silence indicates closure." The typewriter itself remained mechanically inert, keys untouched, carriage unmoved. Yet its surrounding documents continued to converge toward a single, quiet resolution, suggesting the anomaly had shifted from device to process. Recommendation: isolate Desk 4B from active editorial circulation to prevent premature closure of unresolved narratives. Archive continuation. Carbon 58/E documents the emergence of authorial attribution within documents produced in silence between 16th and 18th October 1958. Editors first observed the phenomenon when finalized reports appearing on Desk 4B began to carry a byline identical to Alexei Morozov's customary initials, despite his absence from the newsroom during overnight cycles. Handwriting and typographic analysis confirmed the initials matched the Bureau's official signature stamp spacing and alignment, including a micro-offset unique to Morozov's prior filings. Carbon copies beneath the originals displayed the byline earlier in the stack than the top sheet, indicating attribution formed prior to visible authorship. When Morozov reviewed the pages, Biometric logs recorded elevated galvanic response and a transient disorientation. He reported a sensation of recognition without memory of composition. Investigators tested substitution by placing a different reporter's nameplate near desk 4B. Subsequent overnight impressions omitted the substitute and reinstated Morozov's initials on the lowest carbon layer. Attempts to remove bylines manually resulted in redistribution of pressure by morning, restoring the initials with precise kerning. Notably, when Morozov submitted a resignation letter citing health concerns, a carbon copy placed beneath it returned the next day without his name. The signature area compressed flat as if deliberately excluded. That afternoon, the resignation was denied by administrative order, and the byline reappeared on unrelated drafts at desk 4B. Correlation analysis showed the presence or absence of the byline tracked institutional decisions regarding Morozov's status rather than his actions. Environmental sensors logged the familiar 13.1 second oscillation coinciding with each reappearance of the initials, localized to the carbon stack. The report concludes that authorship within the silent system is provisional and contingent, assigned only to individuals whose role remains active within the finalized narrative. A red margin annotation summarizes the finding. The byline follows permission, not intent. The typewriter remained soundless and unmoved, yet continued to assign and revoke identity through carbon alone. Archive entry. Carbon 58/F details containment measures enacted on the 19th of October, 1958, after confirmation that the silent typewriter's influence extended beyond authored content into institutional workflow. Facilities staff immobilized the machine by locking all keys, disengaging the carriage, and removing the ribbon and platen knob. A steel cover was fitted over the keyboard, sealed with tamper wire and wax. Night monitoring confirmed no mechanical movement or sound. Despite these controls, documents placed within 1 meter of desk 4B continued to acquire finalized formatting on underlying carbon layers by morning. Investigators observed that the pressure signatures now appeared without any proximity to the typewriter's mechanisms, forming evenly across pages as if applied by an external weight. Attempts to relocate the carbon stacks to adjacent rooms reduced but did not eliminate the effect. Impressions weakened with distance, yet preserved editorial corrections that matched decisions made elsewhere hours later. When the desk itself was cleared, a blank carbon sheet left alone overnight developed a centered headline in bureau style, referencing a policy announcement issued the following afternoon. Environmental telemetry again recorded the 13.1 second oscillation, now detectable in the desk's metal frame and floor bolts. The structural engineer reported faint warmth in the locked key assembly, despite zero friction or power input. Administrators ordered full isolation. Desk 4 be dismantled and removed to storage, with the typewriter sealed separately. Following removal, the newsroom returned to normal acoustic activity, but a final anomaly was recorded. Carbon sheets stored in a distant cabinet continued to show partial impressions, aligning with finalized copy for 1 additional night before ceasing entirely. The report concludes that the typewriter functioned as an anchor rather than a source, fixing outcomes while present and allowing residual completion after removal. A blue ink annotation summarizes: silence propagates until the frame is gone. The locked machine was transferred to Archive Sub-Level B under passive observation, classified as Narrative Fixation Device. No further spontaneous impressions were recorded after relocation, though carbon paper stored nearby retained elevated compressibility for several weeks. Accession record Carbon 58/G, finalized on March 3, 1979, details the long-term archival behavior of the silent typewriter following its removal from active circulation. The device, sealed and immobilized, remained stored in Archive Sub-Level B for over 2 decades without incident. Quarterly inspections reported no mechanical degradation, no acoustic output, and no electromagnetic irregularities beyond residual compressibility detected in nearby carbon stock. During routine reclassification of press materials on February 27, 1979, archivists noted an anomaly. A finalized press bulletin awaiting approval appeared fully formatted on a carbon sheet stored 3 shelves away from the sealed typewriter crate. The top sheet remained blank. Paper analysis confirmed the carbon impression occurred within minutes of a committee decision to release the bulletin, preceding its official typing by several hours. Subsequent review uncovered a pattern. Each time a document reached irreversible approval status, a corresponding carbon impression formed in storage, matching final language precisely. No ribbon ink, keystroke marks, or sound accompanied these events. The sealed typewriter itself remained inert. However, pressure sensors inside its crate registered brief, symmetrical compressions aligned with each impression event. In one instance, a carbon sheet bore the initials AM at the byline position despite Morozov's death the previous year. The initials were later removed from the official release by ministerial directive. The carbon impression faded within hours, redistributing pressure to erase the attribution. Archivists reported a recurring sensation of closure while handling affected materials, described as the feeling that the page had already been read by history. Environmental telemetry logged the familiar 13.1 second oscillation at low amplitude during these periods, gradually diminishing over the following month. The final notation in the accession ledger states, device no longer writes but confirms. Classification updated to passive narrative artifact. Carbon. Recommendation appended, do not destroy, as destruction would necessitate authorship. The crate remains sealed. Carbon stock from sub-level B is no longer issued for official use.